Here we go again. Minneapolis is now being rocked again by fresh protests over the shooting death of another black man. Now, this is Daunte Wright. It's a 20-year-old black man who was shot and killed by police during a traffic stop. So now police said that they had pulled Wright over for a traffic violation, maybe what is it, an expired registration or something like that on his plate. He was found to have an existing warrant, and then police tried to arrest him. They tried to, of course, do that over that warrant. Wright decided to do something that I would not advise. He went back into his car. So what happened is he, pushed the officer, went back into his car. The response from one of the officers who was trying to arrest him was to then shoot him. Now, so what happened after the gunshot is that Wright had driven away and then ended up crashing, having a car accident several blocks later. So now Katie Wright is Daunte's mother. And she said that she was on the phone with their son during the traffic stop. He said that he was pulled over for having air fresheners dangling in the rearview mirror. That's illegal in Minnesota. That was enough, of course, in their estimation, to go and pull over a black man. I'm not entirely sure on the details. She said her family bought Daunte the car about 2 weeks ago. I heard scuffling, and I heard police say, "Daunte, don't run," according to reports from the AP. The call ended when she dialed the number again. His girlfriend answered and said that he was dead in the driver's seat. And, of course, they had gotten into an accident. She had no injuries. Now, it's also noted that it's unclear what warrant might have existed. But I can tell you, under most circumstances, even if you have a warrant, that doesn't mean cops can shoot you while you're driving away. That's generally not how it works. Why? Well, because you could hit a passenger, you could cause an accident, a car crash, you could hurt innocent bystanders, and that's almost what happened. So this situation, this is bad. It looks real bad because right now there's a trial, the Derek Chauvin trial, also happening in Minneapolis, the same place, essentially. And so as a result, Minneapolis is, I wouldn't say on fire. That's a bit hyperbolic, but there are protests. In the hours after the shooting on Sunday afternoon, protests, violence, and looting did break out in the Brooklyn Center, a suburb of about 30,000 people north of Minneapolis. So now the police decided to respond to this earlier today, and basically they're calling it an accident. According to the police, the officer who killed Wright said they did so accidentally, and then released body camera footage that appeared to depict the officer shouting "Taser" before firing her gun. Chief Tim Gannon of the Brooklyn Center Police Department said of the shooting, quote, "It is my belief that the officer had the intention to deploy their taser, but instead shot Mr. Wright with a single bullet." And of course, this appears to me, from what I viewed in the officer's reaction to the distress, that this was an accidental discharge that resulted in the tragic death of Mr. Wright. The officer, who was not publicly identified, has been placed on administrative leave, officials said. After the officer fired, she is heard on the video saying, "Holy shit, I just shot him." So to me, of course, that sounds like she didn't know. She literally thought she was tasing him and was like, "Oh no, I just shot him." Okay. I mean, here's the thing about that. Do we not train officers to know the difference between their service weapon and taser? It's kind of easy to tell the difference between those two things, right? They're not exactly the same. And of course, if you watch the video, yes, it happened incredibly fast, but she did have time to aim her weapon in the several seconds. And so, look, again, to be fair, in the heat of the moment, I suppose you can make a mistake and accidentally pull your gun instead of your taser. It happened really fast, The man wanted to escape. He pushed the officers. He got into the driver's seat, and she shot him as he drove away. Now, the response, of course, from some people would that be that, well, he shouldn't have ran. Well, I mean, yeah. It's easy for me to say that, of course. But if you look in the context of what happened with George Floyd, if you look in that context, you can understand why this kid wanted to take his chances and run. You really can. If you think cops are going to kill you regardless of what happens, if you cooperate or not, in which George Floyd was cooperating, and that area, Minneapolis, does have a history of police brutality. Well, I mean, do you really blame him for wanting to run? I really don't. I really don't. And so it's a good example of how police brutality really like hurts the old policing. It really does. And how much fear there is in the black community of police. So now the result of this mistake ended up in being a car accident, of course. The police said a woman in the car had been hurt in the crash. Minor injuries, not life-threatening. That was his girlfriend. Thankfully, nobody in the other car had been injured. However, this man is dead, and that's an incredible tragedy. Again, should he have run? No. But the fact that he did doesn't mean the police should have been able to do what they did and shoot him. So running from police is not a capital offense. But again, I don't necessarily know if she meant that. Judging from the video, and you can watch it, on your own. It is deeply disturbing. And if you watch it, I mean, it seems like it actually honestly might have been a mistake. Still, that doesn't necessarily mean that that this officer will not face consequences. Again, this defense has been used before, and it did not turn out well for the police officer. And look, to me, I think it's a very clear case of, manslaughter. Like, you didn't mean to do it, but what happened is what happened. You made a mistake, you used your service weapon, and somebody died as a result. And if that's the case, I mean, hey, there's going to need to be accountability. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.